Picture two guys graduating high school in Houston the same summer. The first one, we'll call him Tyler. 18 years old, no college plans, no trust fund, no connections. His family isn't poor, but they're not comfortable either. He gets his CDL, climbs into a cab, and starts driving regional routes for a logistics company out of Houston, making $52,000 a year. The second guy goes to UT Austin, takes on $60,000 in student loans, spends 4 years studying business, graduates at 22, lands a corporate job in Dallas making $70,000 a year, and feels like he's winning. Fast forward to age 55. Tyler, the truck driver, has a net worth of just over $1 million. He owns his home outright, has no debt, and is 6 months away from retiring on his own terms. The guy from UT Austin is still working. He makes $110,000 now, which sounds great until you realize he's got a $480,000 mortgage, 2 car payments, and about $180,000 saved for retirement. He is not retiring at 55.
He might not retire at 65. So what happened? How does a truck driver making $65,000 a year end up wealthier than a college-educated professional making nearly double that? My name is Nick, and I spend way too much time thinking about money, wealth psychology, and why some people build real financial freedom while others stay stuck chasing a lifestyle they can't actually afford. If you want to understand the real mechanics behind building wealth on an ordinary income, hit that subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up if it ends up changing how you see your own financial situation. Now, before we get into exactly how Tyler does it, I need to challenge something you probably believe without even realizing it. Most people think wealth is primarily a function of income. Make more money, get richer. And while income matters, it is nowhere near the most important variable in the wealth equation. The most important variable is the gap between what you earn and what you spend. And that gap is not determined by your salary. It is determined by your decisions. Tyler is about to make a series of decisions that the college graduate will never make. Not because Tyler is smarter, but because Tyler never got sold the dream that required him to spend everything he makes just to look the part. Let's start with the single most powerful financial advantage Tyler has that almost nobody talks about. He lives in Houston, Texas. Now I know what you're thinking. Houston is a major city. It's not exactly cheap. But compared to the coastal metros where most high-earning professionals live, Houston is a completely different financial universe. The median home price in Houston is roughly $300,000. In San Francisco, that same home costs $1.2 million.
In Austin, it's pushing $500,000. In New York, you'd be lucky to get a parking spot for $300,000. Texas has no state income tax. None. Zero. That is not a small thing. For someone making $65,000, the absence of state income tax is worth roughly $3,000 to $4,000 per year, depending on the bracket. Over 30 years of compounding that difference is staggering.
The cost of groceries, utilities, insurance, and general daily life in Houston runs meaningfully lower than coastal cities. What costs $100 in Los Angeles costs roughly $78 in Houston. That spread across an entire year of spending is thousands of dollars. This is what financial people call cost of living arbitrage. Tyler is earning real money in a market where that money goes significantly further than it would almost anywhere else in the country. His $65,000 in Houston has the effective purchasing power of roughly $85,000 in a high cost of living city. That's not nothing. That is the foundation of everything that follows. So let's actually follow Tyler's story from the beginning and run the real numbers that most people never bother to calculate. Tyler is 18. He has just gotten his Class A CDL, which in Texas takes roughly 7 to 8 weeks and costs around $3,000 to $7,000 at a trade school. Some companies will actually pay for it if you commit to driving for them for a period of time. Tyler finds one of those programs, gets his license paid for, and starts his first job making $52,000 a year driving regional routes. He's home most nights, which matters for his sanity and eventually for his family. Now here is where most 18-year-olds blow it, and Tyler is going to do something different. Tyler does not go buy a truck. He does not sign a lease on a nice apartment.
He does not get the $600 phone plan, or the $300 sneakers, or the credit card with the high limit that feels like free money because you don't really understand interest rates yet. Tyler moves into a modest apartment with a roommate in a decent part of Houston. His rent is $750 a month, his half of a reasonable two-bedroom. He drives a 2014 Honda Civic he bought with cash for $8,500. His car insurance is $120 a month. His total monthly expenses, including rent, food, utilities, gas, phone, and modest entertainment, come to about $1,800.
His take-home pay after federal taxes and a 5% 401k contribution is roughly $3,400 per month. That means Tyler has $1,600 left over every single month at 18 years old. Most people at 18 would have that evaporate instantly into restaurants, concerts, new clothes, and things they don't need to impress people they don't actually care about. Tyler does something boring instead. He puts $1,000 of it into a Roth IRA, invested in a simple S&P 500 index fund. The other $600 goes into a regular brokerage account, also index funds. He is investing $1,600 per month at 18 years old on a $52,000 truck driver salary. And that is the entire secret. There is no secret beyond that. But let's watch what actually happens to that money. At 8% average annual return, which is conservative for a long-term diversified index fund portfolio, Tyler's $1,600 monthly investment grows to roughly $95,000 by age 25. He has been driving for 7 years. He has gotten 2 raises. He is now making $63,000 a year.
His expenses have crept up slightly because he moved into his own place, but he kept his car, kept his lifestyle modest, and kept investing. At 25, Tyler does something his bank account has been quietly preparing him for. He buys a house. Not a massive house, not a status purchase. He finds a 3-bedroom home in a solid Houston neighborhood for $265,000. He puts 20% down, which is $53,000 from his savings. His mortgage on the remaining $212,000 at a 6.5% rate is about $1,340 per month, including taxes and insurance. That is less than the average car payment in America in 2024. He is buying a house for less than what most people pay for their truck. His monthly expenses go up, but because he was renting before, his net cash outflow barely changes. He adjusts his investment slightly, now putting $1,200 a month into his portfolio instead of $1,600, but he keeps investing consistently without ever stopping. Let's keep following the math. Tyler is 30. He has been driving for 12 years. He has moved up to a senior regional route with a better company. He is making $72,000 a year. His house has appreciated to roughly $320,000 in Houston's steady but not explosive market. His investment portfolio is now worth approximately $280,000. He has $280,000 in the market at age 30 without ever making more than $72,000 in a year. Now here is where compound interest stops being a concept and starts being something you can actually feel. At this point, Tyler's portfolio is generating roughly $22,400 per year in average returns on its own. That is $1,866 per month flowing into his account purely because his existing money is working for him. He hasn't lifted a finger for that money. He didn't drive an extra mile for it. He didn't pick up a side hustle for it. His money is now making more money every month than a lot of people make at their actual jobs. And he is still contributing $1,200 per month on top of that. Let's keep going. Tyler is 35. He is making $78,000 a year. His mortgage is almost halfway paid off. His investment portfolio has grown to approximately $520,000. At 8%, that portfolio is now generating over $41,000 per year in average returns. That is $3,400 per month from his investments alone. His money is now making more than his first-year salary as a truck driver, automatically, every month, without him doing anything differently than he has been doing since he was 18. This is the part that makes wealthy people seem like they have some secret advantage. They don't. They just started earlier and stopped spending money on things that don't matter. Tyler is 40. Portfolio is sitting around $820,000. He is making $84,000 a year now. His house is worth $380,000, and he owes less than $130,000 on it. His monthly investment returns are averaging over $5,400. He is essentially receiving a second salary from his portfolio that he never has to work for. Tyler is 45. He crosses $1 million in his investment portfolio. He is 45 years old, has never made six figures, has never had a fancy job title, has never worked in an office, and he is a millionaire. Not on paper someday. Right now. Actual liquid invested assets worth over $1 million. His house has roughly $280,000 in equity. His total net worth at 45 is approaching $1.3 million. And here's the part that should genuinely stop you in your tracks. The guy from UT Austin who makes $110,000 a year, he has about $180,000 saved. He has a great salary, a nice house, 2 nice cars, and a retirement account that will require him to work another 20 years before he can think about stopping. Tyler has already won. But what about the realities of being a truck driver? The physical toll, the isolation, the industry changes with automation, the unpredictability of freight markets. These are fair questions, and they deserve honest answers. Trucking is hard work. Long-haul routes especially can be isolating and physically demanding. But Tyler is on regional routes, home most nights, which changes the lifestyle equation significantly. Regional trucking in major logistics hubs like Houston is actually in high demand. As Tyler gains experience, his earning potential increases substantially. Owner-operator truckers with their own authority can earn $100,000 to $150,000 or more annually, though this comes with business expenses and risk that need to be managed carefully. Even without going independent, senior drivers with specialized certifications for hazmat, tanker, or oversized loads command significantly higher wages. But here is the thing that matters most. Tyler does not need his income to dramatically increase for the plan to work. The math already works at $65,000. Additional income just accelerates the timeline. Now let me show you the traps. Because this is where most truck drivers, and honestly, most working-class Americans, derail the entire plan. Trap number 1. The truck. This is almost too on the nose for this video, but I have to say it. The single biggest destroyer of wealth for truck drivers and tradesmen is buying an expensive personal truck. The same vehicle they drive for work becomes the vehicle they feel they need to project success in their personal life. A $55,000 personal truck with a 7-year loan, insurance, fuel, and maintenance will cost Tyler somewhere in the range of $140,000 over the life of that loan. That $140,000 invested instead would be worth over $400,000 by the time he is 45. He is not buying a truck. He is buying a $400,000 reduction in his retirement account. Tyler drives his paid-off Honda until it has 180,000 miles on it. Then he buys another reliable used car with cash. He has 0 car payments for his entire wealth-building journey. This single decision is worth hundreds of thousands of dollars. Trap number 2, lifestyle inflation. Every time Tyler gets a raise, there will be a voice in his head and pressure from people around him telling him he deserves to upgrade his life. Better apartment, nicer stuff, more expensive restaurants, fancier vacations. And look, enjoying your money is not a crime. Tyler is not living like a monk. He takes vacations, he goes out, he buys things he enjoys, but he does not let his spending grow proportionally with his income. When he goes from $52,000 to $63,000, he does not increase his monthly expenses by the full amount of the raise. He increases his investments instead. This is called keeping your lifestyle fixed while your income grows. It sounds simple. Almost nobody does it. Trap number 3, the retirement account he never touches. This one catches people who have actually been doing everything right. They build up a real balance in their 401k or Roth IRA, and then a financial emergency hits, or an opportunity comes up, or they just want something, and they pull money out early. Early withdrawal from a traditional 401k before age 59.5 comes with a 10% penalty, plus ordinary income tax on the amount withdrawn. If Tyler pulls $20,000 out at age 35, he might only see $13,000 of it after penalties and taxes. And he has permanently removed $20,000 from the compound growth engine that would have turned it into over $90,000 by retirement. Tyler never touches the retirement accounts. Emergency expenses come from a separate emergency fund he keeps at 3 to 6 months of expenses in a high-yield savings account. The retirement money is untouchable. Period. Trap number 4. The upgrade house. Around age 35 to 40, when Tyler has real equity in his home and his income has grown, the temptation to upgrade to a bigger house in a nicer neighborhood is significant. His wife wants more space. His kids need rooms. The neighborhood he bought in at 25 is not as nice as the one he could afford now. This is not necessarily a bad decision, but it is a dangerous one if handled wrong. Moving up in house always comes with higher mortgage, higher taxes, higher insurance, and higher maintenance. Done too aggressively, it can consume the equity he has built and reset his monthly cash flow in a way that kills his investment contributions. Tyler, if he moves up, does it conservatively, keeps the new mortgage payment under 25% of his take-home pay, and does not treat his home equity like a piggy bank to fund the upgrade. So what does all of this add up to practically? Tyler retires at 55 with a paid-off home worth approximately $420,000 in Houston's appreciating market. His investment portfolio is sitting at $1.4 million. At a conservative 4% withdrawal rate, that portfolio generates $56,000 per year in retirement income without ever touching the principal. Combined with Social Security, which he will be eligible for at 62, his retirement income will exceed what he was making while working. He is 55. He has his health. He has his time. He has no debt. He has complete financial freedom. And he got there making $65,000 a year driving a truck in Houston, Texas. Here is what I really want you to take from this, because there is a bigger point underneath all the math. Tyler did not win because he had a high income. He won because he understood something that most people spend their entire lives refusing to accept. The wealth gap in America is not primarily a gap between people who make a lot of money and people who make a little. It is a gap between people who spend less than they earn and people who do not. That gap is available to almost anyone willing to make different choices than the people around them. And those choices are not glamorous. They are not viral. Nobody is making YouTube shorts about the 22-year-old who drove his 2014 Civic past the dealership without stopping. But that 22-year-old is going to be sitting on $1 million by 45, while the guy who bought the truck is still making payments. The system will try to sell Tyler a truck, a bigger house, a lifestyle upgrade at every single stage of his journey. The entire consumer economy is designed to capture the gap between what Tyler earns and what he spends. Advertising exists to make sure that gap stays as small as possible. The dealers, the banks, the credit card companies, the subscription services, all of them are competing for the exact dollars Tyler is supposed to be investing. Tyler just says no, quietly, consistently, without drama. And at 55, while his high-earning college friends are still grinding, still stressed, still wondering if they saved enough, Tyler is completely free. The question is not whether this path is available to you. It is. The question is whether you are willing to be boring enough, patient enough, and intentional enough to walk it. Because the math works. It has always worked. The only thing standing between you and Tyler's outcome is the decision you make with the gap between what you earn and what you spend starting today.